Hello, fellow voiceover stars. It's your friend and mentor, Bailey Varnes here, also known as the vocal supermodel. So today's video is part 5 in our Perfect American Accent series, and we're going to learn about R diphthongs. The work's getting a little more complicated now, but you should really like it. Now, before we get started, as always, I want to make sure that you have already watched the introduction video for this series that I'll have linked in the description below, because in it, there's an assignment for you to do so that you have a good recording of your natural sound before you do this work and learn this material, and then you'll record your new sound after you finish the course. So be sure to watch and record your before so that you can see your growth once you're done. And if you've already watched and recorded yourself, then let's get started. So today, we are going to work on what are known as R diphthongs. Now, the definition of a diphthong is a sound formed by the combination of two vowels in a single syllable, in which the sound begins as one vowel and moves toward another. So all of those front, mid, and back vowels that we've been working on, we're now going to combine them into whole new vowel sounds that are a huge part of mastering the general American and American Standard accent. And before we dive in, I wanted to bring up something you might have seen. In the movie My Fair Lady, there's a weird scene between Henry Higgins and Colonel Pickering where Henry starts playing these sounds, and they're like, ear, air, or, and then he smiles and he points to a chart that has weird symbols on it. You guys, that was him playing diphthongs and showing the phonetic alphabet symbols for them. So now, if you see that movie again, you can say to your friends, oh, I know what's happening in this scene. These are clearly some R diphthongs and their phonetic equivalents, yeah, and you'll sound really cool and smart. Actually, you'll probably sound pretty nerdy and pedantic, but who cares? It's awesome to be able to know and recreate these sounds perfectly. So let's do just that. So there are 5 R diphthong sounds, and they are ear, air, or, and R. So you can see that they're called R diphthongs because they all end with a soft R, or rather sound. Now, it's technically not the hard R or sound that we learned with mid-vowels. That's why I showed you the long vowel version with the backwards E with 2 dots. With diphthongs, we're using the shorter, softer schwa version. So that's why they're written like this. And you can also see that the first part of a diphthong is longer than the second part. That's why it has a dot after the first vowel sound and not after the second. So this is how diphthongs should be technically written and understood. And with R diphthongs, there are certain mouth placements that they all share. So to form these sounds, you want to make sure that you have a relaxed lower jaw. The tip of your tongue is behind your lower front teeth. You arch your tongue to varying degrees depending on the vowel sound you're trying to make. You round your lips to varying degrees, depending on the sound as well, and you slide your tongue and relax your lips into the position. So since we've already practiced all of these vowel sounds individually, let's go through each R diphthong one by one and try some practice words and sentences. So we're going to start with ear. Now, phonetically, ear is a combination of the front vowel I and the mid-vowel A lot of people think it should start with the front vowel E, but that would actually be like ear, which sounds really funky. It's a softer glide from I to which makes the proper diphthong ear. So the mechanical placement for the correct pronunciation of ear is a relaxed lower jaw. The tip of your tongue is behind your lower front teeth. You arch the front of your tongue to make the I sound, and you slide your tongue back and relax your lips to make the sound. So that's the proper placement for the diphthong ear. Now, let's try it a few times. Ear, ear, ear. So now, let's say a few ear words for practice. So, repeat after me. Hear, hear. Hear. Clear, clear, clear. Premiere, premiere, premiere. serious, serious, serious. Veneer, veneer, veneer. Sincere, sincere, sincere. Hero, hero, hero. Period, period, period. Now we're going to do a few short sentences to make sure the ear sound is really working for you. The engineer has a new gear. The engineer has a new gear. She feared the deer would appear. She feared the deer would appear. A cashier would adhere even while weary. A cashier would adhere even while weary. Volunteers steer clear of careers. Volunteers steer clear of careers. So those are a few ways the ear sound can present itself. So listen for the ear sound in words that you hear the different ways that it comes up, and practice with more words in your Perfect American Accent workbook. But for now, we're going to move on to the next R diphthong, air. Now, phonetically, air is a combination of the front vowel and the mid vowel So the mechanical placement for the correct pronunciation of air is a relaxed lower jaw. The tip of your tongue is behind your lower front teeth. You arch the front of your tongue to make the sound, and slide your tongue back and relax your lips to make the sound. So that's the proper placement for the diphthong air. Now, let's just try it a few times. Air, air, air. So now let's say a few air words for practice. So repeat after me. Chair, chair, chair. Where, where, where. Karen, Karen, Karen. Upstairs, upstairs, upstairs. Dare, dare, dare. Harry, Harry, Harry. Solitaire, solitaire, solitaire. Careful, careful, careful. Now we're going to do a few short sentences to make sure the air sound is really working for you. The software repaired the error. The software repaired the error. A secretary prepared. A secretary prepared. The ferry took us somewhere. The ferry took us somewhere. Dairy cows are gregarious. Dairy cows are gregarious. So those are a few ways the air sound can present itself. So listen for the air sound in words that you hear the different ways that it comes up, and practice with more words in your workbook. And now we're going to move on to the next R diphthong, ur. Now, phonetically, ur is a combination of the back vowel oo and the mid vowel So the mechanical placement for the correct pronunciation of ur is a relaxed lower jaw. The tip of your tongue is behind your lower front teeth. You arch the back of your tongue upwards to make the oo sound, and you slide your tongue forward and relax your lips to make the sound. So that's the proper placement for the diphthong ur. Now, let's just try it a few times. Ur, ur, ur. So now let's say a few ur words for practice. So repeat after me. Poor, poor, poor. Sure, sure, sure. Gourmet, gourmet, gourmet. Tourist, tourist, tourist. Pure, pure, pure. Your, mature, mature, mature. Curious, curious, curious. Now we're going to do a few short sentences to make sure the ur sound is really working for you. A brochure for a tour of Europe. A brochure for a tour of Europe. The entrepreneur's plans were obscure. The entrepreneur's plans were obscure. I'm furious over this manicure. I'm furious over this manicure. To ensure would be premature. To ensure would be premature. So, those are a few ways the ur sound can present itself. So, listen for the ur sound in words that you hear the different ways that it comes up, and practice with more words in your workbook. And now we're going to move on to the next diphthong, or. Now, phonetically, or is a combination of the back vowel all and the mid vowel So while the pure back vowel sound all may not be that commonly used in general American speech, it is important to be able to do it properly because it's part of this very commonly spoken diphthong. So the mechanical placement for the correct pronunciation of or is a relaxed lower jaw. The tip of your tongue is behind your lower front teeth. You arch the back of your tongue upwards to make the all sound, and slide your tongue forward and relax your lips to make the sound. So that's the proper placement for the diphthong or. Now, let's just try it a few times. Or. Now let's say a few or words for practice. So repeat after me. Spore, spore, spore. Port, port, port. Encore, encore, encore. Corgi, corgi, corgi. More, more, more. court, court, court. Decor, decor, decor. Ordinary, ordinary, ordinary. Now we're going to do a few short sentences to make sure the or sound is really working for you. We explored the folklore. We explored the folklore. 4 horns were recorded. 4 horns were recorded. An orator built rapport. An orator built rapport. The metaphor was ignored. The metaphor was ignored. So those are a few ways the or sound can present itself. So listen for the or sound in words that you hear the different ways it comes up, and practice in that workbook. And finally, we are going to move on to the last R diphthong, R. Now, phonetically, R is a combination of the back vowel ah and the mid vowel So the mechanical placement for the correct pronunciation of R is a relaxed lower jaw. The tip of your tongue is behind your lower front teeth. You arch the back of your tongue very slightly to make the ah sound, and slide your tongue forward and relax your lips to make the sound. So that's the proper placement for the diphthong R. Now, let's just try it a few times. R, R, R. So now let's say a few R words for practice. So repeat after me. Star, star, star. Harp, harp, harp. Garter, garter, garter. Alarm, alarm, alarm. Farce, farce, farce. Chart, chart, chart. Parsley, parsley, parsley. Bazaar, bazaar, bazaar. Now we're going to do a few short sentences to make sure the R sound is really working for you. The bartender marked his jars. The bartender marked his jars. An artist played a guitar. An artist played a guitar. Guard the dark farm. Guard the dark farm. The heart of the park was its arbor. The heart of the park was its arbor. So, those are a few ways the R sound can present itself. So, listen for the R sound in words that you hear, and hear the different ways that it comes up or doesn't come up. So those are the 5 R diphthongs. So it can be really helpful to say them in order so that you can physically feel the difference in your mouth. So the 5 R diphthongs in order should sound like this. Ear, air, ur, or, R. Ear, air, ur, or, R. ear, or, r. So that's a great way to practice your R diphthongs and make sure you're feeling and experiencing the subtle differences in your mouth. Now, in the next video, you're going to learn the other 5 diphthongs known as long diphthongs. But for now, get to practicing using your Perfect American Accent workbook. If you don't have the workbook yet, there's a link to it in the description area. I'll send it right to you, and you can get to perfecting those R diphthongs. So keep practicing. Maybe check out My Fair Lady again in your free time, and I'll see you in the next one.